Happy birthday, Hall of Fame. I guess it's the 10th. This is really cool. John Falconi Sr. What an interesting case. This guy was the first member of his family to be born in America. But you know something? He was an old New Englander through and through the whole time. He was small in physical stature, but somehow he just had this way of moving mountains. He was originally trained as a pharmacist, and he started selling bottles of kerosene out of the back door of a drugstore in Southborough, Massachusetts. And somehow, over the years, he managed to leverage that little operation into a huge energy services company called Falconi Brothers. He was the director of banks, he was the director of hospitals, but he always stayed true to his own sort of homespun philosophies, completely devoid of any kind of glitz or glamour. There was this fundamental simplicity, kind of a humor about him. He called everybody Murph, and that's what everybody called him. You have to dig a little, actually, to find out what happened during Murph's 40-year obsession with auto racing. But when you do, you find really a very rich vein. He started out in 1950 with his signature Falconi Brothers number 10 red cut-downs and hard tops, and they were wheeled by the best of them. There was Billy Tibbett, Joe Fatboy Ross, Joe Cast, Gordon Martin, Reno Talonen, and probably most notably the Neshoba Valley Rocket, Freddie Borden. By the 1960s, Murph had joined his engine building buddy Bill Welch, and they got into the promotional business with Dave Morton, Wally Faulkner, and Jimmy Costello to run the races at Brookline, Westboro, and Thompson. These were really lively, fun-loving shows, and the legacy of them very much exists today. How about just one of them, the World Series of Auto Racing, that weekend at Thompson at the end of the year that is very much part of everyone's racing calendar. By the 1970s, Murph began to buy in to the facility at Westboro Speedway, and it's a very good thing he did, because under his quiet stewardship, that track kept going for at least 15 years longer than it should have, given the spiraling costs of real estate on Route 9 in Westboro. How I wish, thinking back on it, that I could have just $1 for every hour he spent loving that track, working on that fence with Frank Pratt, who's here with us today. But you know something, at the end of the day, Murph's biggest accomplishment was siring probably one of the most famous racing families in New England. His son Ricky was absolutely a beyond skilled car builder. He became a great official, and Ricky drove to a podium finish in the final day at Westboro. Peter became a really talented announcer and has recently been the voice of NEMA, and he's also done the presentations of Bob Baer's races up at New Hampshire International Speedway. Johnny Jr. became a marquee modified driver and even made it to the high banks of Daytona before tragically losing a very gallant battle to cancer. Jimmy was Johnny's very loyal crew chief, and Jimmy now calls the shots for Johnny 3 in a late model operation at Thompson. But you know something, with all this activity and all this family, it can't be said that things were always easy on Murph. Sometimes he really took it on the chin. How about that night at Westboro? It seems that there was a bit of a nasty call about Johnny and his modified, so Jimmy got pretty upset about this, and he stormed right up to the officials' booth, and that's where Jim Rigney and Ricky were as steward and handicapper. When Jimmy got there, he got really exercised, and he hauled off and took a big old swing at Ricky. Well, there are no flies on Ricky, and he ducked. So it ended up being Murph's cigar that was facing in 3 different directions after he'd been popped by his own son. And so Murph suggested in his own quiet way, time for you to go back to the pits, Jimmy. You know something, it's obviously a really great honor for Jimmy and Ricky and Peter to come up and accept this award on behalf of their dad this afternoon. But you know something, it also says something really special about NEAR, because it says that this organization knows to dip beyond just glitz and fame and glamour. This organization really knows about dedication and contribution. So let's bring them up right now and honor Murph, who passed away in 1991, and let's bring into the Hall of Fame John Sal Falconi Sr., one of the finest gentlemen that we've ever inducted.
Thank you, Lou. Thank you, the members of the board and the selection committee of NEAR. Of course, well instilled, as all of you as racing families know, when you have such a deep history in the sport, how much it is instilled in you, and year after year continue to be involved in racing as we are, that Lou mentioned. But my father, certainly the inspiration. We all have memories, obviously, of the days at Westboro Speedway and the other tracks that he promoted. Thompson and Brookline, I remember as being about 10 years old, staying up late because we were at the races at Westboro on Saturday night, then up early on Sunday morning to go to Thompson, and just about the time that race was ending, we're in the car and driving across the state of Massachusetts to Brookline, New Hampshire for the races there. So those were how our weekends were spent when we were kids, but it certainly was a lot of fun. And a lot of the members of the Hall of Fame, and many of them that are here tonight, that helped carve the history at the racetrack that we love so dearly, Westboro Speedway. Of course, George and Ronnie and Bugsy and Leo, and I could go on and on and on of the people that provide those memories for us for all those great years. And it is sincerely an honor. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the member of the family that we would love to have on the stage with us. My brother John, who, as Lou mentioned, passed away just 4 years ago after a battle of cancer. But he, of course, as Lou mentioned, went all the way to Daytona in his racing years, and this would have been a very proud moment for him as well. We miss him and my father, but we have all those great memories from all those great years in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s with all the different racetracks we're involved in and all the racing. So again, on behalf of the family and all of our friends and all the friends we've made in racing, thank you to the New England Racing, to the New England Auto Racing for this great honor to go into the Hall of Fame, and we're really very proud moment. Thank you very much.